Welcome to EngNGUp, English Never Give Up Podcasts. The word really just completely changed meaning in your head, didn't it? That's because I said it with rising intonation, showing surprise.
Oh, that's such a perfect example. And if you said it with falling intonation, it would show disbelief.
Today, we're diving into the 5 tone secrets that can transform your English from textbook rigid to naturally fluent. Ready to master the melody of English?
Absolutely. And you know what's fascinating? Intonation is actually more important for being understood than perfect grammar.
Wait, really? More important than grammar?
Yes. According to recent research, proper intonation can make up for grammar mistakes because it helps listeners follow your meaning.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is intonation?
Intonation is basically the music of speech. It's how your voice rises and falls when you talk.
Like the difference between saying you're coming as a statement versus you're coming as a question?
Exactly. And that brings us to our first secret, rising intonation.
Tell us more about that.
Rising intonation is when your voice goes up at the end of a sentence. It's used for yes-no questions and showing uncertainty or surprise.
Like when someone tells you they won the lottery.
Right. You might say, really? With rising intonation to show surprise. But here's where it gets interesting.
What's that?
The second secret is falling intonation, which is actually the most common pattern in American English.
When do we use falling intonation?
You use it for statements, commands, and WH questions, like, where are you going?
You know what this reminds me of? Music.
That's such an interesting connection. Your voice is literally like an instrument playing different notes as you speak.
Speaking of which, here's a fun fact. Remember Joey from Friends?
Oh yeah, his famous how you doing catchphrase.
Exactly. The way he said it, with that specific intonation, completely changed it from a simple greeting to a flirty pickup line.
That's a perfect example of our third secret, how intonation conveys emotion and intention.
So how can beginners practice these patterns?
Here's something fascinating. Some teachers actually use rubber bands to help students practice.
Rubber bands? How does that work?
You stretch the rubber band when your voice should rise and let it relax when your voice should fall. It's a physical way to feel the pitch changes.
That's brilliant. What's our 4th secret?
The fourth secret is about rhythm, the natural flow of English speech.
How does rhythm work in English?
It's about stress patterns, which syllables we emphasize in words, and which words we emphasize in sentences.
Can you give us an example?
Take the word photograph versus photographer. The stress moves to different syllables, changing the rhythm.
Oh, I see. PHO to graph versus pho-to grapher.
Exactly. And here's something counterintuitive. Focusing on rhythm and intonation before perfect pronunciation can actually speed up learning.
Really? Why is that?
Because native speakers can understand wrong sounds better than wrong rhythm. It's like music. If you hit wrong notes but keep the beat, people still recognize the song.
That makes so much sense. What about our 5th and final secret?
The fifth secret is about combining different patterns, what we call rising-falling intonation.
When would we use that?
It's perfect for showing contrast or emphasis, like saying, I might go, but probably not.
The rise on might and fall on not really makes the meaning clear.
And that's why intonation is so powerful. It adds layers of meaning beyond just the words.
So how can listeners start practicing these patterns?
One effective method is to talk back to TV shows or movies.
Like pausing and repeating what characters say?
Exactly. And since you already know what's going to happen, you can focus on matching their tone and rhythm.
Any other practical tips?
Recording yourself is incredibly helpful. You can compare your intonation to native speakers and track your progress.
And what about common mistakes to avoid?
The biggest one is using flat intonation, keeping your voice at the same pitch level throughout.
That's what makes someone sound robotic, right?
Exactly. English is naturally very melodic. It needs those ups and downs to sound natural.
This has been incredibly helpful. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Remember, perfect grammar isn't everything. Focus on these 5 tone secrets, and your English will sound more natural, even with mistakes.
And practice with real conversations whenever possible?
Absolutely. The more you practice, the more natural these patterns become.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of EngNGUp Podcasts.
And remember, it's not just what you say,
It's how you say it. Thanks for listening, everyone.